Hello, my friends. It's your brother Zen bringing you another message of love from above. And I'm really excited about this reading today because it's going to be about the autumn equinox, and that is one of my favorite seasons of the year. I know for some people that love the sunshine and the warmth, it's a bummer, but I put up with summer, so it's a give and take, right? But I really love the fall time because it really, spring brings us new stuff. Summer helps us kind of things grow and process and move along. And then fall is when things start to slow down and calm down. The leaves start falling from the trees and we start letting those things go in our lives that no longer serve us. And it's kind of a reflective time before we move into the winter solstice. So I'm excited about this coming up. Some cool weather's coming on its way. So what I'm going to do is kind of do one card that'll kind of give the overall energy for the fall period, which will run from like September 22nd to the winter solstice, which happens on December 21st. So I'll kind of do that, and then I'll break it out like 3 cards for 3 different periods, which kind of comes out to like a month, like September 22nd to October 22nd, October 22nd to November 22nd, November 22nd to like December 21st-ish. So kind of just give us a little flavor of that, and then I'll pull some little cards to see if there's any other messages that the Creator has for us for that period of time. Also, September 22nd is the beginning of the Libra season. I'm going to do an additional reading for that, so keep your eyes open for that. Right, we're going to start off for the energy for the overall season. I'm going to use a card from this deck, which is the Journey of Love, which is pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and find out and get this party started. All right. So what is the overall energy for this autumn season? All right, let's see what we got here. It's funny, out of nowhere this fly has come to provide a little reminder of why I like the summer to go away, because the flies tend to go away as well. But he has a right to be here like all of us, right? All right. So Ethereal Touch is the card for the overall energies. 27, which is a 9, which is interesting that it's September. So we'll put this right here, and I'm going to read from the book here and just see what we have. So for this card, the Spirit is present in your very touch at this time, and you are having an impact on the world around you, particularly your close relationships, in ways that are far more profound than may be immediately obvious. The touch of your soul is ethereal, spiritual, of light and sound. It moves the heart and opens pathways of possibility through love, faith, and trust that would otherwise be impossible to access. Trust in the presence of the divine in your touch, physical and spiritual. Your healing presence is making waves of love rise and stir in this world, and the divine lives and breathes through you, beloved. Remember that though the sacred temple of your body gifts you with hands through which to hold and give, it is the soul within the flesh that renders touch a sacred healing. This oracle guides you to accept and embrace your healing abilities and to trust that you can feel your way through life by opening your hands to receive and taking hold of the opportunities that are presented to you. You are meant to touch the world with your spirit. Wow, that is a great overall energy for the fall, and these colors are kind of like fallish as well. All right. And next, I'm going to pull 3 cards from this new Oracle deck by Colette Baron-Reid called the 7 Energies. I'm going to read these intuitively, not from the book, so we'll get a message from whatever pops up on these. So, just some guidance, angels and guides and ancestors and creator on what those little September, October, November periods of time will bring for us. All right. So we'll start off with September 22nd to October 22nd-ish. Okay. Actually, it looks like they're going to give us those 2 right up front, and then the last one for the last period there. And I'm going to take that one. All right, for September to October 22nd is the master number 44 up there in the corner, which is the Divine Matrix. So for the beginning of the fall, September through October 22nd, it's really about connecting to our inner divine, to really connect to that understanding that we are not only unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things, but we ourselves are made of unconditional love. We're a drop of that mighty sea of the Creator. We're a little mini-me. And so just connecting to that higher world and the divine world is what can help us, and kind of what the focus and all our external circumstances and situations are bringing to us. Because that's what happens is really the external world, when we're taught to look outside of ourselves for our definition and who we are, we feel unstable because all those external things are unstable. So, if we're defining who we are by other people and how other people interact with us, then, people change, people pass away. Also, if we define ourselves by circumstances, of course, circumstances never stay the same. And then also if we define ourselves by possessions or things outside of ourselves, like homes, vehicles, whatever it may be, money, those things break, deteriorate, or are stolen. So all these things that are happening around us are all these fingers pointing us inward to where we do find that fulfillment, where we find that divine connection, to the only thing that fulfills us, which is the unconditional love that lives inside us. So that's like September to October, September 22nd, October 22nd-ish is kind of what those kind of situations are doing. So you can kind of see the little circle here in the card. It's just kind of showing that all the external things are pointing us back to the internal. Right, and for October 22nd to November 22nd, we have a card that it is what it is, and that's card number 6, if that means anything for you there. So what this is bringing to us, what's amazing is when you come to this internal piece, which is kind of almost that internal thing here too, you realize that there's light and there's dark. We come here to feel that contrast. Some people ask, why do we even come here? What is our purpose on this earth? And I have a personal belief that, we are these beings of light, our divine. And to better understand who we are and to kind of self-reflect, I guess you could say, we do all these different things in our, eternal lives that are out there. And we've come to a point where we want to experience who we are by experiencing who we're not. So when we come as fly, I'm sorry, it's like he's trying to get into the camera. He wants his little close-up. So we come here to experience that opposite of who we are. And so all these things that are happening as we connect and remember who we are, that higher power, then we get to really see that distinctiveness between the dark shadow and the light. So an example is like before I experienced sadness, happiness was just happiness. I really didn't know what it was. I just know I felt it. But when I experienced sadness, suddenly happiness seemed even more delicious, and I understood the intricacies of it. Same thing with, like all these, when you see these like stars next to the dark, if the stars, see how the stars are in the light, you really can't see them too well. But when there's darkness around, then you can really see the light and really see what that is. The definition's more clear. So hopefully that makes sense. It made a lot of sense in my brain, but it wasn't coming out through my mouth too well. So, and then for November 22nd to around December 21st, we have Sacred Reverence. And that is card 47, if that means anything to you. That breaks down to number 11. And what a beautiful card. It just really shows who we really are, and that this world is love. It's the key. And so from November 22nd for that remaining period in December 21st, it's really about all this sinking in, and we just start to realize kind of that connection to our higher self, that peace and love in our heart just becomes bigger, and we understand. It's almost like the love that we are and we express is in our hands. These are hands. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So next I'm going to use, this is my Oracle deck that I'm currently working on with a creator. So we're developing this out. It's currently, of course, not available to the public yet because it's not completely finished. But we'll pull a couple cards for each one of these just to see if there's any additional messages on there at all. All right, so for the first period, September 22nd to October 22nd. All right. The first card that popped out here is the Knowing, which this is an amazing card because this is about, as we're connecting to our higher self and connecting to, the Creator and the spirit world, they actually bring in and drop love messages into our brain. This is kind of how I do readings. It's like suddenly out of nowhere, there's these messages that just appear like it's a memory of my own. And it's just like, I just know, the answer to a question that I bring up, or an understanding of what a card means or what a situation means. So this is really an awesome kind of emphasis on this divine matrix. It's connecting to that inner love and just allowing and listening to the Creator and to your angels, to your guides, your ancestors, even loved ones who have passed will talk to you. So a wonderful card, and that's a 41 on the bottom. So what I generally do is then I pick, because 41 is 4 plus 1 is 5, then I'll go down 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, and this one is the Throat Chakra card. So this card is all about communication. And you can see up here, it talks about I share. And so it's really about a mirror. As we connect to the unconditional love inside us and our divine, it kind of outs the conditional in others and in the world. It really becomes a really strong mirror for just seeing the difference between the two. You know, when we connect to that unconditional love inside us, we have this just peacefulness. And then when we get drawn out into the storm, that's when we have all that noise, that loud fear noise. And there's a meditation here. Let me put these cards down. There's a meditation up here that says, I'm not sure if you can read that or not. It says, I unconditionally love the world. I have it's a 4-part kind of meditation which starts off talking about that I am unconditionally loved by the creator of all things. And then we fill up to the point where we realize, kind of here, where I am made of unconditional love. And then once we fill up with that unconditional love, then it can flow out to the world, which is the I unconditionally love the world. And then sitting in that peace with all that love flowing out of us, that's when we see that the world is made of unconditional love as well. The throat chakra also, I guess it helps if it's right side up, is about communication, speaking and hearing. So speaking our truth, hearing truth, actions of unconditional love. And like I mentioned, just the mirror of the contrast. And it's where our true creativity begins to flow when we're connected to that unconditional love. You know, as we release all those conditions of who we think we're supposed to be and should be, and how everything in the world is supposed to be and should be, it frees up a lot of energy for us to invest in the creative side of ourselves. We're not investing so much trying to make sure everyone else is doing everything they should be doing, or worrying about whether I'm doing everything everyone else wants me to do, and then I can just be me, and I get to just express that unconditional love that's inside me. So wonderful, wonderful card there. So it seems like with the fall happening there, with the releasing of all those other things, we're actually able to express ourselves. And as we move inside ourselves, we start to really see, like I mentioned here, what our truth is. You know, when we stop listening to all the external stuff, whether it's news and everyone else's opinions on social media, and I just get quiet and I stop getting defensive. I start to zoom in on my heart, and when I sit in unconditional love, that's when I start to see, like, truth, capital T. When I'm looking outside myself and reacting out of fear and all those other fun things, that's when I think I have a truth and I need to defend it. And one of the wonderful things I read recently, which really resonated with me, is that if something is true, it doesn't need defending, which makes sense to me. The Creator's unconditional love doesn't need, defending. It is. All right. So we'll move on to October 22nd to November 22nd-ish next here. All right, so what additional messages do we have for October 22nd, for that period there? What else would you like us to know? What can help us? All right. And we got the evil card, which, don't be scared. What this card does in the deck that I'm creating is it just helps us understand where our fear lies and what is the purpose of fear. What's wonderful is Spirit and Creator gives us a little kind of, I call it higher wisdom advice on how we can convert these types of fears into peace and unconditional love. And if you can read that, it says, who's behind the mask? And the message with this card basically says the world, kind of even like with this, the mirror, that the world is a mirror for us. It's always reflecting something back to ourselves. So an example is when, if I'm watching something on YouTube and it frustrates me and I'm like, how could anyone even think that way? Then I look back and see what kind of thoughts are happening in my head. How does that apply to me? How could I say to myself, how could I think that way? And of course, one of the things that pops up immediately to me is, for me to think that everyone else in the world should think exactly as I do, I shouldn't think that way, And so really this helps us understand when I feel certain feelings towards others or situations, taking a deep breath, coming back inside myself, then I can see higher truths that I want to see for myself. And that's why all these things are happening. Like I mentioned, all this contrast that comes, to us. So this is such a fitting card for that period, because it allows us to see, wait a minute, how would I feel if I were in their shoes? How would I live if I lived their life? I have no idea how they lived. And I probably, if I believed the thoughts that they believed because of how they grew up, I wouldn't act any differently. Just as anyone in my shoes would be thinking the way I am. And so it just allows me to get to my deeper truths, and it allows me to deal with all that stress of thinking, those judgments that I have on other people and situations. I can turn those around and really just look inside myself to understand, okay, I'm the one behind this mask of evil. And there is no real evil. It's just our fear ego puts this role on us, because we always know when we're in our drama, because there's usually a villain, a victim, and a hero. And so I know I'm out in the fear drama when the villain appears, and then I just know that that's a role that I've cast on others, and I can look into myself to find out, okay, what about this situation can I learn about me? And that was a -13, so that's a -4, so I'll take 4 from the bottom of the deck for the second card. All right, another chakra card, amazing. So with this one, this card is the navel sacral chakra, which this has to do with relationships and how we're relating to others, which is totally perfect to follow up with that evil card. You can see how up here it's about I see. The third eye chakra allows me to see truth. So what this does, I'm sorry, there's a reflection there. There we go. This all has to do exactly what I was talking about other people are being a mirror for us. This is where we feel our emotions and our desires. This is where we flow through our emotions. This is where we have tears of love and of joy, and we know, tears of loss and joy. I have tears of love too. But where in the root chakra, which is the chakra right before this one, that's where we react and like a bull, we see red and we charge. Where this changes is it's more like this little sunrise, sunset here. When this chakra is being activated and being active in our life for our spiritual lessons and evolution, it basically has us stand outside of our emotions to become like a witness to them. So it would be where you're standing watching from a distance, watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, and we're not in the heat of the moment any longer. We can actually step outside, and as we see those truths, that's all about I see, as we connect to our higher self, like we were mentioning before about your divinity, that's where the third eye comes in, which is we see things as they are. We see those higher truths, kind of from, I would say, like, the Sky Father, our creator, has that perfect sky view, from the chopper up above everything, and sees what's really happening, really what's going on. And with all these things happening, like we were talking about, that contrast, that's what brings out those truths for us, and we get to really understand things. The meditation on this one, if we can get it close enough here, is I am unconditional love. So as I mentioned before about that 4-part meditation, this is the second piece of it, where once I connect and understand I'm unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things, we move into the I am unconditional love. We realize we're not these characters that we're playing here. I'm here on the planet. We're actually these higher beings made of unconditional love, living that earthly experience. And I'll put links to those meditations in the description box below too, if you're interested in looking more into those. I have free videos on those as well on YouTube. All right. Then we'll move on to the final period from November 22nd to around December 21st. Let's see what additional messages we have. What's interesting is this period here is when elections are happening, so I'm sure that's going to be a big reflection for a lot of us, and hopefully if we can connect to our inner love, it'll help us be more compassionate toward each other and remember that we're all one. We don't need to be divided. We can understand where people are coming from and work together instead of being divided. All right. So November 22nd to December 21st. What additional message do you have for us? Oh, there we go. They actually gave us the 2 right up front. So the first card is -28, which is indifference. And what this card does is it brings up just this understanding of these fear emotions, this fear fire that happens. When we become indifferent, what happens is we become so disappointed in life. We become so, just unfulfilled, and we just lose that passion because all those external things have finally just beat us down to where we just want to lay there and we don't care about ourselves or the world. And we're just like, you know what? I'm just going to lay here till somebody finds the body, And that can understandably so, with everything that's been going on in the world, it can have become where it feels too much. But what's wonderful is it gives us the cure down here, which is rise from the dead. This is not suggesting to go on any kind of narcotics. What it represents here is, this is the unconditional love of the Creator. And so like when someone is, heart has stopped beating and how they stick that syringe of adrenaline into the body, that it activates and brings them back to life. And that's what that higher wisdom advice from the Creator is saying is find something to love, turn inward, get that unconditionally loving heart beating again. And you do that by making big changes, either in your external world, whether it's like a job, finding a new job, or in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, talking over, with that individual and saying, what can we change? We need to have any change. We need to, put some spice back into our, interactions. And then, of course, the inner, which is kind of igniting a new relationship with the Creator, not having an external religion, but having an internal relationship. So a great card there to kind of end that season as we go into winter. And then, we had the evil card, and now we have the death card. What is going on? But don't be afraid. Look, he's a happy little one. And again, it's kind of that mask, kind of, same as the evil card there. but every kind of tarot reading deck has the death card. That's why it's the death card. And if you look close here, so you get a little get out of hell free card. Woohoo! And what this card represents is one of our biggest fears is the fear of death. And I actually was just talking to a friend about this, how, at one point in my life, I did want to end my life. And luckily, the Creator stepped in and I didn't do it. And then I, went on along just living one more day and one more day and one more day. And whenever I am feeling down and feeling like, like this here, where I feel like just ending my life, or like it just feels like too much, I kind of take my life down to death, and I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? Well, I could die. So if I end my life, I'm doing the worst thing that could happen. So instead, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just do something different. What am I fearing? So when we question what we're fearing around death, what we're fearing around rejection of some sort, it really reflects what we were talking about before with that contrast, where in this life we develop all these rules around what makes us lovable, what makes us acceptable, what makes us successful, all those worth kind of approaches to life. And when I question all my fears, it always came down to either fear a painful death or being rejected after death. Either, in life being rejected by my tribe and friends and family and everyone, but after death being rejected by the Creator. And so that really brought me on the journey of asking myself, do I believe my Creator is unconditionally loving toward me or conditionally loving toward me? And what my heart told me and what I've experienced is the Creator loves me unconditionally. So there's nothing I can do to lose that love. And hey, I've got a get out of hell free card because there are no rules that are going to send me to a hell. My big father, the Kahuna, the Sky Father, the Creator of all things, the Mother, the Holy Spirit, Divine Mother, loves me unconditionally, so I have nothing to fear. And that's why what this get out of hell free card means is I'm the one that puts myself into a hell. And when I reconnect to my divine, when I reconnect to that unconditional love of the Creator, then that's where I find peace. And that's our whole journey here, is to kind of come here asleep, forgetting that we are these royalty, the royal kids of the Creator, and slowly waking up to remember who we really are. Last, I'm going to pull one little kind of final message. Is this Chakra Love card here, just to get one little more message before I end the reading here. So if you did enjoy this reading and you would like to get more or get notified when more come along, then go ahead and, if you don't mind, hitting like down below and subscribe. You can click the little bell, then you'll get notified of my future readings as well. Perfect. The last card is oneness. You are part of the universe and always will be. What a great card. Just kind of twofold. The oneness I talked about not being divided, about us, coming together as one instead of being divided, but also just everything I talked about. But you're a part of the universe. You're part of the Creator's creation, and you always will be. No conditions. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it brought you some zen into your life and some peace and some love. And I wish you all the very best. Have a very happy fall season. Love you all. You take care.